Chevrolet Bel Air, the crown jewel of the American dream. There are cars that people drive, and then there are cars that define an entire generation. The Chevrolet Bel Air didn't just move America, it moved its soul. Step back into the 1950s. The war was over. The world was rebuilding. Elvis ruled the radio, Chrome ruled the streets, and the American dream was shining brighter than ever. And in that perfect storm of optimism rolled out the car that captured it all, the Chevrolet Bel Air. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a symbol of prosperity, confidence, and a future that gleamed as bright as its chrome grille. The Bel Air arrived with style that turned heads and stole hearts. Sweeping tail fins, two-tone paint jobs, glittering chrome that looked like it was dipped in sunlight. This was the car that made driveways look glamorous and highways feel like red carpets. Under that sculpted hood was more than beauty, it was power. The Powerglide automatic transmission made driving effortless. While the V8 engines brought thunder to suburbia, Chevy called it a new concept of motion, and they weren't exaggerating. For the first time, ordinary Americans could own a car that looked like a Cadillac, but didn't cost a fortune. And the magic wasn't just in the metal, it was in what the Bel Air represented. This was freedom on four wheels. Date nights at the driven. Road trips with the radio humming. Kids waving from the back seat while Route 66 disappeared in the rearview mirror. Every mile felt like a celebration. The 1957 Bel Air, the most legendary of them all, became a masterpiece of design. Jet-inspired tail fins, a wide chrome grille, and those golden V emblems that practically shouted pride. It was the peak of 1950s cool part spaceship, part rock and roll fantasy. When you saw one, you didn't just see a car, you saw success. People washed them every Sunday, polished them till the chrome could blind the sun, and parked them like trophies. It was America in metal form, confident, loud, and absolutely beautiful. Today, the Bel Air isn't just a classic, it's a time capsule. Every line, every glint of chrome, every rumble of that V8 is a love letter to an era when cars had soul and style wasn't optional. Collectors restore them not just for nostalgia, but because they remind us of something we've lost. That driving was once an experience, not a commute. A Bel Air isn't about getting somewhere fast. It's about enjoying the journey, the music, the moment. 7 decades later, when a Bel Air cruises past, people still stop and stare. Because even now, it carries that unmistakable aura of simpler times, open roads, and the golden heartbeat of the American dream. This is the Chevrolet Bel Air. A car that didn't just define an era, it became one. Mercedes-Benz 300SL, the gullwing that touched the sky. There are cars that impress you, and then there are cars that change everything. The Mercedes-Benz 300S didn't just rewrite the rulebook, it became the rulebook. Born in 1954, in an era when most cars still looked like rolling furniture, the 300SL arrived like something from the future, sleek, sculpted, impossibly aerodynamic. It wasn't just a car. It was a spaceship for the streets. And those gullwing doors, the kind that opened upward like wings, weren't just for show, they were born out of necessity. Its tubular space frame sat so high on the sides that normal doors wouldn't fit. So Mercedes engineers gave it wings. And in doing so, they created one of the most iconic silhouettes in automotive history. Under that long, silver bonnet lived a masterpiece, a 3.0-liter inline-six with direct fuel injection. The first of its kind in a production car, it made 215 horsepower, enough to send the 300SL soaring past 160 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world at the time. Think about that. In the 1950s, when highways were still being built and speed limits were polite suggestions, Mercedes built a car that could outrun everything on the planet. The 300SL wasn't just a car, it was a dare. Every detail was obsessed over, from its wind-cutting curves to its lightweight frame and hand-stitched leather interior. The 300SL was designed to make drivers feel like pilots. When you sat inside, surrounded by chrome dials and aircraft-like switches, it didn't feel like driving, it felt like taking off. And take off it did. Racing versions dominated circuits like Le Mans, and Mexico's Carrera, proving that beauty and brutality could coexist in perfect harmony. But beyond its speed and engineering, what truly made the 300 SL timeless was the emotion it stirred. It wasn't just admired, it was adored. Hollywood stars, aristocrats, and racing legends all wanted one. Owning a 300 SL wasn't about transport, it was about arrival. Even today, when you see one glide past, silver paint shimmering. Like liquid metal, people fall silent. Not out of nostalgia, but respect. Because this isn't just a car from the past. It's a reminder of what human ambition looked like when it wore chrome and gasoline. The gullwing doors open, and for a moment, it feels like time stops. You can almost hear the hum of history. The whispers of the engineers who built something not just fast, but eternal. The 300 SL wasn't created to follow trends. It created them. It inspired generations of supercars, from Ferraris to all chasing the same perfect balance of elegance and power that Mercedes mastered 70 years ago. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL is more than a machine. Jaguar XK120, the cat that made the world. Some cars are fast, some are beautiful, but the Jaguar XK120, it was both, and it made the world fall in love with British motoring all over again. It was 1948, the world was still healing from war. Factories that once built planes were now making dreams. And from the heart of Coventry, England, Jaguar unveiled something so breathtaking that it left the crowd in stunned silence, a long, low, curving sculpture of speed called the XK120. It wasn't just a car, it was poetry written in metal. Every line flowed like liquid. Every curve whispered motion. The world had never seen anything like it. Under that graceful bonnet lived the brand new 3.4-liter XK inline-six engine, an engineering marvel that delivered 160 horsepower, numbers unheard of at the time. And when Jaguar took it to Belgium for a speed test, it shattered expectations, hitting 120 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world. That 120 in its name wasn't marketing, it was a promise. The XK120 wasn't just built to look good, it was built to perform. It was light, perfectly balanced, and eager to dance through corners. Its exhaust didn't growl, it sang, with a silky smooth tone that earned it the nickname the cat that purred. But what truly made it special was how it made people feel. This was the first time ordinary people, not millionaires, not royalty, could touch true performance. It cost half as much as a Ferrari and still looked like it belonged in a Bond film. Hollywood noticed too. Clark Gable owned one. Humphrey Bogart wanted one. Even racing legends like Sterling Moss used it as their entry into fame. It wasn't just a car, it was a celebrity magnet. Behind the wheel, the XK120 was alive, the steering heavy but precise. The acceleration smooth yet fierce. You didn't drive it, you communed with it. The way its fenders framed the road, the way the wind wrapped around its curves, it was sensory perfection. And it wasn't afraid of a fight. It raced at LA Man's Monte Carlo and Silverstone, proving that this elegant British beauty had claws sharp enough to shred its Italian rivals. Even today, more than 7 decades later, the XK120 remains one of the most perfectly proportioned cars ever built. Collectors still call it the most beautiful car ever made, a title even. Enzo Ferrari once begrudgingly admitted, it's more than nostalgia, it's timelessness. Because when you look at an XK120, you're not just seeing metal and chrome, you're seeing hope. Hope from a time when the world needed beauty again. A reminder that even after chaos, elegance could rise from the ashes. The Jaguar XK120 didn't just start a new chapter for Jaguar. It wrote the book on what a sports car should be: fast, fearless, and absolutely unforgettable. This is the car that purred its way into legend. The car that made the world believe in speed again. Ferrari Testarossa, the red-headed thunder of There are race cars. And then there's the Ferrari Testarossa, a name whispered with the same reverence as victory itself. In Italian, Testarossa means red head. But this wasn't about hair. It was about fire. The valve covers that crowned one of the most powerful engines of its time. Born in 1957, at the height of Ferrari's golden era, the Testarossa wasn't built for luxury. It was built to win. And when it did, Le Mans the Targa Florio, its roar echoing through circuits like a war cry from Marin. Under its sculpted aluminum skin lived a 3.0-liter V12, hand-built by the legendary Gioacchino Colombo. It produced nearly 300 horsepower, enough to launch the car past 170 miles per hour on the long straights of Le Mans. But raw power wasn't its secret weapon. Balance was. The Testarossa handled like a dream, light and nimble even on the edge of chaos. And then, there was the body designed by Scaglietti, shaped by hammer and soul. The flowing fenders, the sculpted nose, the vents that looked like shark gills, every inch a blend of aggression and grace. It wasn't just beautiful, it was aerodynamic poetry. When it first appeared, journalists called it a rolling piece of art. But Enzo Ferrari didn't care about art, he cared about winning. And this red missile delivered. Between 1958 and 1962, the Testarossa became a legend, securing Ferrari's dominance in endurance, racing and sealing its place as one of the most successful race cars in history. But beyond the trophies, there was emotion. When that V12 screamed down the Mulsanne Straight at midnight, it wasn't just speed, it was drama. Drivers described it as flying with their hearts in their throats. The sound of 12 pistons harmonizing into pure adrenaline. Inside, there was nothing fancy, just a metal steering wheel, a few gauges, and a seat that barely fit a driver. No comfort, no insulation. Because this wasn't a car built for pleasure, it was built for passion. And every time it crossed the finish line, the world fell a little more in love with Ferrari. Today, the Testarossa stands as one of the most valuable cars on Earth. Collectors pay tens of millions just to own one, not for its rarity, but for what it represents, an era when cars were raw, dangerous, and alive. When the Testarossa's engine roars to life today, the world still stops to listen. Because that sound, that piercing, metallic symphony is the heartbeat of Ferrari itself. This isn't nostalgia, it's reverence. The Ferrari Testarossa is not just a race car. It's a living legend, a sculpture that breathes fire, a relic of speed, and a reminder that perfection doesn't come from safety, but from soul. This is Ferrari at its purest. Red, raw, and roaring into eternity. Ford Thunderbird, America's personal luxury legend. Some cars are born to race, others are born to rule the boulevard. The Ford Thunderbird did both, but it ruled with charm, not muscle. When it debuted in 1955, it wasn't chasing Ferraris or fighting it was chasing a feeling, freedom, romance. And the open road beneath a golden sunset, Ford called it a personal car of distinction. The world called it beautiful, while Chevrolet's Corvette screamed, sports car. The Thunderbird whispered something softer, more sophisticated style. It had curves that looked sculpted by wind, chrome that gleamed like jewelry, and a stance that made it seem like it was gliding even when parked. Under the hood lay a 4.8-liter V8 that purred with quiet authority. It wasn't built to destroy stopwatches, it was built to make hearts race. 0 to 60 in under 10 seconds was impressive for the time, but what mattered more was how it felt. Driving a Thunderbird wasn't about power, it was about presence. Inside, it was pure 1950s luxury. 2 seats, a wraparound dashboard, airplane-style dials, and a steering wheel that made you feel like a pilot more than a driver. The world was moving fast, and Ford gave America a cockpit to enjoy the ride. Every detail had swagger. From the jet-inspired tail fins to the chrome Thunderbird, script on the fenders. This was a car that turned heads at diners, motels, and drive-ins from California to Carolina. You didn't just drive it, you arrived in it. By 1957, the Thunderbird had evolved bigger, bolder, and more confident. Dual headlamps, a 300 horsepower engine, and the kind of design that looked ready for the space age. It became a symbol of success. The dream car for everyone who wanted to feel a little bit movie star. But then, something incredible happened. Ford transformed the Thunderbird from a 2-seat sports car into a 4-seater luxury cruiser. Critics thought the magic would fade. Instead, it sold in record numbers. The Thunderbird had found its true calling, not as a racer, but as America's ultimate personal luxury car. It became the car of presidents, singers, and dreamers. Elvis Presley had one, Frank Sinatra had one, even Marilyn Monroe was photographed beside one. It wasn't just transportation, it was aspiration on wheels. Decades later, the Thunderbird remains an icon, the perfect blend of elegance and Americana. It represents a time when cars had personality, when driving was an event, and when every mile felt like a scene from a movie. When you see one today, that long hood, that swooping tail, that chrome badge glinting in the sun, you don't just see a car. You see the spirit of a generation that believed in beauty, confidence, and the joy of motion. The Ford Thunderbird was never about horsepower. It was about heart. Because while most cars chased speed, this one chased something far more powerful: the American dream. And nearly 70 years later, it's still catching it.